Buenas and half a day, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining me today for this public hearing. This virtual confirmation hearing by the Committee on Air Transportation, the Parks, Tourism, Higher Education, and the Advancement of Women, Youth, and Senior Citizens is hereby called to order. Today is Friday, September 17th, 2021, and the time now is 9:02 a.m. For the record and in accordance with open government law, notices for this hearing were sent on September 10th, 2021, and again on September 15th, 2021. In addition, this hearing was noticed on the Guam Legislature website. Joining me here this morning, I'd like to thank my colleagues, members of the committee, Senator Tony Atta and Senator Tello Tidekwi, and we also have Senator Chris Duenas and Senator Joanne Brown. Good morning, colleagues. Siduas Maasi. Before we proceed with the discussion, I'd like to first provide some general rules of conduct for all those in attendance. The conduct of this hearing shall be as follows. All must abide by the rules of conduct and quality assurance standards. Please keep your video on at all times to ensure that you are in a room with adequate lighting and little interruption. Please make sure the participant's face is visible at all times. When speaking, please ensure that you are unmuted and that you are speaking into the microphone. The chair will invite individuals who have signed up to testify to present their testimony. Individuals testifying shall first be recognized by the chair, and we ask that you state your name for the record. The order of questioning will begin with the panel of senators. Each member will be allowed to pose questions to the panel and to the nominees. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance and nature of the agenda. Personal inference as to the character or the motive of any senator or any individual testifying is not permitted. Any violations of this rule of conduct will result in removal from the meeting room. Thank you in advance for your cooperation. We will now continue with the first item on our agenda. That is the appointment of Mr. Justin D.A. Gera to serve as a member of the Parks and Recreation Commission. The Parks and Recreation Commission, sections 7705 to 7707 of Article 1, Chapter 77, Title 21 of the Guam Code Annotated, provides the purpose and duties of the Parks and Recreation Commission, which was established for the purpose of recommending to the governor the appointment or removal of the director of the Department of Parks and Recreation and advising the director on such matters relative to the department. The commission consists of 7 members, all appointed by the governor to serve 4-year terms. At this time, I'd like to first invite individuals who have signed up to testify for Mr. Gera's confirmation. Then we will hear from the nominee. So if there is anyone here for Mr. Gera, I don't see anyone, but we will continue to accept any written testimony if there is any. Mr. Gera, you may proceed.
Thank you, Senator. Good morning, everyone. Hafide. If I have, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Justin Gera. I'd like to thank the governor and the lieutenant governor for the appointment this morning, and all the senators in attendance and the committee members in attendance as well, and all the staff helping this meeting come along. A little about myself. I was born and raised on the island of Guam, and the nomination was presented to me by a cousin of mine, whom currently serves in one of the other boards. I took it upon myself to to look at this nomination as an opportunity to further complement all the parties involved in regards to parks and recreation, and having lived my life here on Guam and having been involved in various recreational activities throughout the island, both as a youth within the public school system and as an adult. I would like to further help and prosper any goals and aspirations the committee looks forward to achieving. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Justin, for being here this morning and for your testimony and your willingness to serve in this capacity on the Parks and Recreation Commission. I'd also like to recognize in attendance the Deputy Director of the Department of Parks and Recreation. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Victor Villagomez, Acting Director at this time. Well, Justin, as I said, thank you very much for your willingness to serve. We'll now ask some questions from myself and the panel. I want to know if you are to be confirmed to this position, what are some of your goals for the commission? You may be following along in the news. Sometimes there's controversy at the Department of Parks and Recreation. There are lots of concerns about the parks and the different facilities throughout the island, which the department is, working on diligently every day. But there are always concerns and improvements to be made. So I'd like to hear from you as a potential commissioner, what some of your goals will be.
Thank you, Senator. So coming into this position, as I am not aware of a lot of the ongoing issues and foreseeable goals the board has in mind, I myself cannot answer as to what my goals would be, but I would like to say that I do possess the skill set to learn and inform myself of any matters, and hopefully, as mentioned previously, having lived all my life on Guam, I could further complement any direction and any aspirations the board has in mind. And lastly, as a collective, I'd like to be a part of something that we all as islanders can be proud of.
Thank you for that. And though you may not be familiar with all the responsibilities and intricacies of the department, if this is an opportunity that you are given and you do pursue, then I ask that you give it your all, that you really dive deep into all of the needs of the department to learn more about all of the responsibilities there and how you as a commissioner will be able to lead along with the director and the deputy director, a very important department within our government. So I thank you. And I'd like to open the floor to my colleagues, beginning with Senator Ada, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning to the nominee, Justin. Mr. Gera, thank you for accepting the governor's invitation to be a nominee for the Parks and Recreation Board. Have you had the opportunity to go around and see what encompasses Department of Parks and Recreation, the facilities, what their responsibilities are as the Parks and Rec division?
Good morning, Senator. As far as my understanding, from my experience, just utilizing certain facilities such as public parks and recreational facilities, I myself am unaware of the responsibilities of the staff and all the personnel involved, unfortunately.
I see. So have you had the opportunity though to go with the director or the or staff of Department of Parks and Rec to familiarize yourself with the agency?
At this time, Senator, unfortunately not.
You haven't? Okay, I see.
No, I have not.
So did you realize, or do you know that the Vicente Limtiaco Cemetery is part of Department of Parks and Recreation?
No, I do not, Senator.
You did not? Okay. Well, I hope that once you get familiarized with the responsibilities of Department of Parks and Recreation, that you'll be able to encompass all the facilities, but not just that, but also the challenges that the cemetery in itself has. And I think that our challenge in the very, very near future is going to be, where are we going to start burying our loved ones when that cemetery starts becoming full to capacity? So just something to keep in your mind, and hopefully, something to challenge when you, should you become a member of the board, that it will be one of your goals to ensure that when we need to bury our loved ones, that our people have a place that they can have that is dignified, and that they will be able to know that it's an affordable cemetery, and that we will be able to continue to bury our loved ones there. And if not, perhaps looking into another location. So those are the things that, I hope that you consider thinking about.
Thank you, Senator. I will keep that in mind. I appreciate all the concern and the information.
Thank you. Madam Chair, that's the only questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Ada. Senator Tartaglia?
Sejus Masi, Madam Chair. And half a day, Justin. It looks like this is your very first
Senator.
half a day. It looks like this is the first time you've ever served on a board. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, Senator.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier in your testimony that you heard it from a cousin of yours or somebody that mentioned about serving on this board. Do you know how many times a month or a year that the board is going to meet to discuss issues with the Parks and Rec?
From my understanding, I believe several times per quarter. As to that number, I am not informed, Senator.
Okay, well, it's good to know that at least you know what you're getting into. That's the most important thing before anybody steps into a position such like this. I mean, it's nice to know you've been raised on Guam, you've been on Guam this whole time, but it takes more than that. It takes an understanding of how things work and the importance of what's needed. It also takes an individual to have his own mind, his or her own mind. We just heard yesterday about a former member of a board who testified against the appointees to sit on the board because he felt that they were rubber stampers, and I can only assume that's because they're following the lead of somebody else telling them what to say and what to do. So Justin, can I ask you, I mean, with your own, I know it looks like you're going to college currently, and that you've done some other work in other areas, property management, things like that. Can I be assured that you're going to make judgments based on what you think is the right decision and do the research you need to be able to make those decisions?
Thank you for the question, Senator. In regards to judgment, most times than not, I've come to the understanding that I myself may never have the best judgment, but being a part of this board, and in addition to the board members and the acting director, I'm confident enough to know that with everyone's insight, we may have the best judgment in mind and may have the right goals and directions as such, because I'm well aware that no sole person will have all the insight in the world in regards to the troubles and issues involving our island. But I'd like to involve myself as a collective, as mentioned previously, in order to move in the right direction, quote unquote.
Okay. Well, it does take a lot of work, and especially Parks and Rec. Parks and Recs have had so many issues. And it, like Senator Adam mentioned, you didn't know about the cemetery that Parks and Rec oversees. They oversee quite a bit of things, not just the sports facilities. A lot of times people get in here and thinking, oh, I know everything about sports and I've been a part of that, but it's a lot more than that. It's about making decisions on how this agency is run and how they utilize their funding and I'm sure, and I'm happy to see, the deputy here, Victor. Victor's been such an advocate. He's always here at public hearings, and to share his input and, guidance. But these are the people, Justin, that you're going to oversee. You're going to oversee these employees, and make sure that they're doing their job. It's a lot of work, hard work. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's a 4-year term. Is that correct, Justin? Are you here on a 4-year term?
My understanding, yes, Senator.
Okay. Well, this is your opportunity to prove yourself, because I'm sure if you do a great job and you like what you're doing to serve the people of Guam in this capacity, you're going to make a name for yourself here. And I hope it's one that, you do with good judgment, and most especially good research. So I wish you the very best, and thank you for stepping up to the plate. My door is always open. If there's anything I can do, since this is your first time doing anything, you have a senator's office that's open to, for you. Just feel free to call or knock on the door, and if anything I can do, I can assist. And I know you've got some good people at Department of Parks and Rec. Victor's an excellent job, does an excellent job with his stuff, keeping on top, and of course the director. So thank you again, Justin. And again, I wish you the very best, and work hard for the people of Guam. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
Okay, thank you, Senator Titlegy. I'd like to recognize Senator Terlahi for joining us this morning. Hafa Senator, thank you very much. I'd like to move on to Senator Dueñas if you have any questions.
Madam Chair. Good morning, Justin. And I join my colleagues in, congratulating you for your willingness to serve. I guess maybe my main question is, I know that many boards, and I haven't seen whether or not this is the vacancy that you would be filling, but many boards, particularly that administer youth programs, have a youth member. Is that the membership that you're filling, or just the general board membership?
To my understanding, I was informed it was the youth membership, but I may have been mistaken, Senator.
And that's what I was kind of thinking, Justin. And so I think what's important here, and I just want to maybe just glean from you, one, maybe a little bit of insight. I know that you've mentioned that, you would work if you were to be, confirmed to this position, you would work to understand the intricacies of the agency and things of that nature. But I got to ask you at this point, because I think that's what you're representing is the youth membership. What is the one thing, that you see with your membership that you would advocate for from the youth perspective?
Thank you for the question, Senator. In regards to youth membership, I myself, if given the opportunity, I would advocate towards involvement and knowledge, more so along the lines of, most times than not, the government of Guam and each of its boards, I feel as though lots of the times people that are younger than me or younger than us, let's say, are not well informed of the opportunities and the things involved, and how, as a collective, as mentioned previously, we can do all that can be done. It may not seem as though lots of the times when you're not involved in the government, or even more so on a board, you feel as though you have no power, but your voice, the willingness to act, the willingness to inform yourself is a very powerful thing.
Justin, today, there are a number of nominees that have a lot of experience that are coming up after your opportunity to present here. And so just two things I want to mention to you that I would be very encouraged if you were to commit yourself to. And that is definitely because of the real strong area where Parks and Rec, needs to continue to develop and make sure that is a core responsibility, is making sure, working with the mayors and other community members, that facilities and other things that involve our youth for their development is something that's really important. So I would ask you if you would definitely make a commitment today that you are going to be that voice for the young people who really, I know the mayors have taken over a lot of the responsibilities for some of the sports facilities and the like, but it is Parks and Rec too that continues to lead in a lot of these areas, particularly playground equipment and other things in parks. That if you will commit to be an advocate for that, it would really help me.
Yes, if given the opportunity, Senator, I would like to pledge myself to that commitment.
And especially because you're a college student right now, I know you're probably going to be looking at a lot of the different things that you and your school mates, and as you go into higher education, and delving into governmental operations and other things that you'll be researching and learning at the university. But I just encourage you to stay strongly connected to your strength, which is your youth, and basically constantly getting the input, because I think that's probably the strongest input that you can give to this board. You're going to be dealing with budget matters. You're going to be dealing with personnel matters from time to time in terms of advising Mr. Vizagomez and the director as well, Director Alcantara. But I'm going to feel confident if you're committed to advocating for the youth programs and for the things that Parks and Rec does to continue to develop our children.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Justin, and good luck. And like I said, stay on this morning, because you're going to see some other members that you're more than likely will be serving with. And I think that they're lending their experience to you, and you advocating for the youth will really be what will make this board dynamic. Once again, thanks for accepting the challenge, and I encourage you to do everything you can to develop prior to your confirmation to learn more about Parks and Rec and advocacy. Thank you. Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Dueñas. Senator Brown, do you have any questions for Justin? You're on mute, Senator Brown.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I certainly appreciate also the questions that have been asked by our other colleagues and the response that Justin has made. I think it's quite exciting, certainly, for him to be appointed as a youth member. And I don't have any questions for him. I think he's already had those questions asked and answered, but I wish him well. I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity for him to learn about the operations of Parks and Rec. And then from there, hopefully, Justin, I hope you can see and have your vision on how you can improve the things you'd like to see improved at DPR. The advantage you have is the future is yours. And so I many years ago had the opportunity in youth leadership to start out, and it's certainly set the foundation for my own work in my life. And I think you also, as a young person moving forward, have a wonderful opportunity to do that. So we wish you well with your appointment. And hopefully, if we're still here when you come up, maybe for a reappointment, you can tell us all the new things and exciting things you've learned and what you've seen to improve the operations in Parks and Rec. And I hope that leads you to a future position of continued leadership in our community. So with that, Madam Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you very much, Senator Brown. Senator Pito Terlahi.
Thank you, Senator.
First off, Madam Chair, I want to thank Justin for being a part of this interaction. I just wanted to find out, Justin, can you give me some of your involvement on some of the activities that is ongoing within Parks and Rec? And what are some of the recommendations that you would like to recommend in as far as invigorating the activities of Parks and Recreation to promote the youth programs?
Good morning, Senator. To answer your question, at this point in time, I have little to no involvement in regards to any affairs regarding Parks and Rec. unfortunately.
Yeah, so what would be your main focus in as far as promoting the activities of the youth program within Parks and Rec? Baseball, softball, whatever. What would be your involvement in your specific, uh, not specialty, but your specific, uh, desire in making sure that we kind of just move forward with a particular activities within the Parks and Rec?
To answer your question, Senator, if I were to be specific as to my aspirations towards youth advocacy, I would just like to say that most times than not, I would like to help in the involvement of further improving the facilities that are currently offered to the youth of the island, i.e., pool facilities and such that I am not familiar with at this time. And the reason being is most times than not, given the pandemic and given the current state of the world, I feel as though we need to inform the youth of the island that not everything is lost at this point in time, and that our island cares about them and wants to afford them the opportunity to enjoy themselves and further involve themselves with their brothers and sisters and everyone involved. I hope that answers your question, Senator.
Justin, I just want to really credit you and thank you for stepping up to the plate and putting in whatever you need to do to satisfy the activities of our youth. And for sure, you got my support, Justin. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you very much, Senator Terlahi, and thank you, Justin, for being here today, for your testimony and for answering the questions posed by this committee. We appreciate your time, and I know that I'm reviewing your packet once again. I'm seeing that you at one point were a member of the National Football Association. I do recall that maybe you were a skateboarder at one time frequenting our parks, and so I think that you have your own experience using our facilities on Guam, and I hope that you'll keep all of those things in mind, what you've seen and what your peers would like to see from our parks and our recreational facilities. So I thank you for your willingness to serve and look forward to moving your appointment forward. Thank you very much, Justin, and you're welcome to stay on for the rest of the hearing today. Now we'll move on.
Thank you very much, Senator Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we'll move on to the next nominee, the appointment of Mr. Kyle R. Mandapat to serve as a member of the Parks and Recreation Commission. At this time, I'd like to invite those who've signed up to testify in support of Kyle's nomination. First, we have Ellie Ongarong from Guam Cancer Care.
Hi, good morning, Senators. Happy Friday. My name is Ellie Ongram. I am the Program Director of Guam Cancer Care. I'm here to testify in support of Kyle's nomination to the Commission of Parks and Rec Board. Did I get that right? So Kyle has been an integral part of our success with our outreach efforts here at Guam Cancer Care over the past 10 years. Our involvement in Parks and Rec usually stems from like our 5K, our annual 5K runs. We have an educational fitness program in the elementary schools. I'm not sure if Parks and Rec has purview over them, but and numerous other outreach events. The involvement that Kyle has with the community and his vision for a better Guam is just speaks to how awesome he would be to serve on this board. So we are in full support of his nomination. Thank you for allowing me to testify on his behalf.
Thank you very much, Ellie. And now we'll move to Deshandra Washington.
Oh, can y'all hear me? Hi, senators and friends. I'm Deshandra Washington, better known as Shimmy. I'm kind of nervous. I've never cared to witness for someone before, so I hope I do this right. So let's see. I've had the pleasure of working with Kyle for the past 5 years at the radio station. So I've seen his ability to bring a number of people together. His leadership skills are phenomenal. In order to keep over 15 people happy in a group is not easy, but he finds some way to do it. As you know, working at the radio station, we did a lot of events in the community, as Ellie mentioned, like 5Ks. We did things at the Agana Shopping Center. You know, we did cleanups. We did all these things. So I see his power to, as I mentioned, bring people together to help better improve Guam, keeping it clean, keeping it orderly. He does it in a way where it doesn't feel forced. You just kind of just want to do it. You want to be a better person. So I think he'll be a perfect candidate for this. I can't wait to see what he'll do to improve Guam. Thanks for letting me testify.
Thank you so much, Shimmy. And now we'll move on to the nominee, Mr. Mandapat. Kyle, go ahead.
Alpha Day Senators, Director, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak before you today. For me, being a part of this opportunity and taking the chance to kind of jump on in really goes back to the heart of my life, and that's my children. Born and raised here on Guam, and having the honor and the pleasure to raise children here on Guam is something that's always been so important to me. You know, with the economy and everything and the way that jobs and pay kind of lined up for me in my personal life and experience, I've had to live in apartments and condos, you know, for majority of my children's lives. And because of that, and because I wanted to make sure that they had the full Guam experience of climbing trees and running around and you know, making sure they didn't get bit by the dog, I made it a point to take them out to the parks constantly. Some of our greatest memories are over at Paseo or over at Ipoh Beach, where we have Easter every year. You know, Barragata and parks down there. The pool, I still got a pool pass for Hagatnya when things open back up over there. So these are all very, very, very important memories, and they've helped to kind of shape me and my purpose. And at the same time, there are so many opportunities that I want to make sure that they're still afforded. You mentioned Tiguac a little bit earlier on. You know, I have several loved ones there. So yeah, we've seen that kind of situation and I've been on kind of, you know, that path as well. But for me, the opportunity to serve on this commission really goes towards that. And that's to kind of ensure that my children now have the opportunity and the privilege to raise their children here. And the great memories that we've had the opportunity to build will be afforded to them as well. And I look forward to working with the group and the commission and the director and the deputy director and the people of Guam to kind of bring that. You know, I mean, with the experience that I've had, some people would say I'm, you know, with this kind of experience or that kind of experience. But in all honesty, I'm coming at this experience with everything that I have as a father and as a parent and as a son of Guam. And I'm hoping that we can kind of get to a point where we're all at the parks together. You know, obviously with the pandemic, that's a little harder to do, but that's my big goal is to make the parks again. Again, they're doing a great job. I know that they're understaffed and there's a lot of work to be done, but this is our island. So we as a people and us as an entire community can lend a hand and get down and dirty and, you know what I mean, bring it all up together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kyle. I appreciate that, your testimony today, your willingness to serve, and the reason behind answering yes to this call to serve in a different capacity now. And you have been working at the University of Guam for a few months now. You have, I think, a pretty big position there where you're quite busy, Assistant Director of Communications at the Center for Island Sustainability, Sea Grant, Guam Green Growth. So you have a lot on your plate there. And I know that you're going to make time for the Department of Parks and Recreation here. So I'm looking forward to that. And I see a lot of opportunity for partnership between the University of Guam and the Department of Parks and Recreation. And I hope you'll help to bridge that continued partnership. I know you're already working on a lot with them and bringing the trash bins to different parks in our community. So I think there's a lot of value that you'll be bringing to this commission with your experience at UOG and bridging that gap between the department. So thank you for that. I'd like to open up any questions from the committee members. Senator Tony Ada, do you have any questions for Kyle?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, good morning, Mr. Mandapat, and thank you for answering the governor's call to serve on this board. I'm glad that you brought up Tiguet Cemetery. And so if you can just expand on your thoughts about the cemetery, I'd like to hear more what you would like to perhaps see done, or where would you like that cemetery to go? What are your thoughts?
I would like for it to go up. I mean, one of the big things that we have in terms of the cemetery, like I said, my godbrother died and we buried him there even before I was born. So I've been going there my whole life. And I've got countless memories of trying to find the spot or trying to find his grave or noticing, and it's kind of one of those things for my family. Like when you go there, we know where people are buried based on landmarks, over by the tree, go left, go down, and it should be there. But I think that these are all opportunities and these are things that a lot of people face. So for the Tiguet Cemetery specifically, I'd like to see maybe clear markers or maps or something like that. And I'm sure they're available in some form or fashion, but I'd like to get that out to the mass community, and get everybody aware of that. And at the same time, I'd like to kind of look into, and I'm sure that this is something that the director and the deputy director have already looked into, but the potential for, above ground crypts and mausoleums and stuff like that. You mentioned earlier, Senator, that there could be potential for another location, maybe another cemetery somewhere else through the island. I think that would be something that we definitely need to explore. I mean, the central area itself has got such an enormous population, and people are either buried down in Tiguet, Tuksa, right, over in Guam Memorial if you've got the money for that, or down in Windward. So I think with this opportunity to kind of jump in and work together with the team and the directors to kind of figure out at least, a plan. I'm not expecting anything to be done tomorrow, right? But at least something for the future that we can look forward to. And like you said, where are we going to put our loved ones, right, when Tiguet fills up?
Yeah, and I think that's very important because the fact that we are not sure what the remaining capacity is, right? How many more burials can we have up at Tiguet Cemetery? The affordability of our people to be able to still continue to bury their loved ones. And I think that's what's important about this government cemetery, is that we continue to operate it. Either that, or what is your thoughts of the government getting completely out of it and having it sourced out to a private company, or someone? What are your thoughts on that?
For me, it's got to be about affordability. I mean, the government is here to serve the people and work with the people. Sadly, I've had to go through, funeral planning myself, and it's not cheap. And a lot of people nowadays are looking at different means, I guess, of housing their loved ones after they've moved on. I know people now who have urns in the living room, because it isn't financially possible for them to intern their loved ones in a plot. And I would hate for that to become the norm, especially here on Guam.
Do you know what the cost of a plot is up at Tiguet Cemetery?
I'm not familiar with Tiguet specifically, but I know that on average, you're looking at over 5,000 for sure. And most cases, especially in the private cemeteries, that's just the whole.
Yeah, so up at Tiguet Cemetery, because it is a government cemetery, it's $500. And that's why we want to ensure that just because our families are have that opportunity to bury their loved ones with dignity and respect, is that we continue to ensure that they're able to that affordability. And right, have you been up there lately? No.
The last time I went up was probably around All Souls. We did move up to drop my cousin and my auntie Tony some flowers. And the thing is, those so many people and so many people here on Guam. If we want to talk about Parks and Rec, yeah, people use the parks to play and people use the sporting centers to do their, exercising. But the amount of people that go to the cemetery, whew, it's a lot. And so we definitely, I think, need to kind of work together and figure out a way to kind of make that a priority or keep it as high a priority as it can be. And I know, like I said, staffing and the director and the deputy director are hard at work, and the team is definitely chugging along. But any support that I can provide, whether it be via insight or partnership, as Senator Shelton alluded to, I think that, that'll be beneficial to the team. In regards to your initial question, I think that personally, in terms of privatizing or working with a partner, if it makes sense, cents and dollars for our people, I think that it's something we should definitely explore. But when it all boils down, I think it boils down to our people and making sure that they still have access to affordable services afterwards, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I hope that when you sit on the board that you remember these things that, we're talking about today, and that you bring it up to the board, constantly, right? Because we don't want to be faced when that day comes that we're not going to be able to bury our loved ones up at Nimitz Hill because we failed to prior plan. And being in the Army, that's the 5 Ps, right? Prior planning prevents piss poor performance. And if we can ensure that the prior planning that we have ensures that the future of our government cemetery is going to be there around for our people. And I like your thoughts on the crypts, the above ground crypts, and hopefully that you take your ideas and move along with it. And the reason why I'm so centered and focused on the cemetery is because it, quite often when folks are appointed to the Parks and Rec board, they don't realize that the cemetery is part of the Parks and Rec. So, I just want to make sure that it's, it's brought to your attention and that that it's part of it. And do you know what other cemetery is part of Parks and Rec?
Go ahead, sir.
The Agana, the Naval Cemetery in East Agana?
Oh, yes. Over by the across from the store, the pet store.
Yes. So, so just kind of keep in mind and, keep it on your radar, but most especially our public cemetery for our people. Keep that in mind, and hopefully that we'll be able to do something in the near future to ensure that we can either expand the current location or start looking for a new location for the future.
We should explore Tamuni. That's my personal thought.
Well, wherever it's going to be, let's explore it. Thank you, sir. Congratulations to your appointment. I look forward to it.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Madam Chair. That's the only question I had.
Thank you very much, Senator Ada. And just a quick point on the cemeteries. We did have several meetings about it earlier in the term, visiting Tiguac and exploring some of the other options, some properties. So we do have a roundtable discussion in the works. Hopefully we'll get to that soon. We are waiting for the budget to be completed. And we know that there are lots of plans that exist within the department. I think some properties in Chico. So we'll be discussing that. And Kyle, I'm sure you'll have your chance to learn a lot about it and have this committee involved as well. So thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, we'll move on to Senator Tydegui. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And good morning, Kyle.
Morning, ma'am.
Kyle, where's Ashwood College at? Where's that located?
So Ashworth is in Georgia. So that story was with my work schedule and with my children and everything like that. I called over to UOG and the counseling department. At the time, they weren't offering online courses on the level that they're offering them on now. So they actually referred me there and I had the opportunity. It took me 13 years between diaper changing, but I was able to gain that degree recently. Okay.
I was wondering, I mean, it took, a long time. And I don't remember you off island during that time. So you must have, okay, because that explains it. Okay, thanks. Thank you, Kyle. So Kyle, I was really happy to hear from Justin explaining how he came about, to be nominated or, to be a part of this board. So how were you approached on becoming a member of this board?
Okay, well, I do a lot of volunteering and a lot of work with a lot of different groups, Crime Stoppers, and I'm really big on PTOs. And I was previously serving as a chairman for the Guam Public Library System Board and just a board member as well. And my term expired over at the library board, and I focused mainly on my business. Well, not my business, but working because I had some added responsibilities over there. So I took the opportunity to kind of shift gears and pay more attention after 3 terms, I believe, over at GPLS. And then for this one, I saw that there were some openings, and I felt like with this new shift in the career and an adjusted schedule, I would have more time to contribute, and I find myself in the seat.
Okay, well, thank you for that information. I'm sure my colleagues would appreciate that too as well, knowing that you have served on a board, previous board before. So you know what you're getting into. This is not your first time around, and what's required of you and the importance of it, you know, and your decisions that, you know, I talked about rubber stampers earlier. I know that you might know some people with influence that I hope does not influence you in a way that makes you, tells you how to vote or part of this board. So I hope you have that, your own self, you know, decision-making based on research and data and information, you know. The other one I had is, do you have any conflict of interest that may, I mean, Parks and Rec does have some you know, runs they put together and things in the community, entertainment and stuff. So do you have any conflicts of interest right now? Do you have a business currently?
I do have a business, and I do production and events, but I've never worked with the Department of Parks and Recs on that in terms of hosting any events or anything like that. When I do work with a lot of nonprofit groups or government groups or you know, community groups, situations vary, yeah, and they may have an event. I think, like Miss Ellie mentioned, right? We've done some 5Ks and such, but I'm not a part of that process. I literally show up with a microphone.
Okay, so you have no problem recusing yourself in the event something comes up with a
No
bid.
problem at all. No problem at all.
The other question I have, I know I was hoping Senator Brown would bring it up on the last one, but you know, there's a public law that was recently signed into law, Public Law 36-34. And it's a bill that was written by Senator Brown regarding public information, public access to information, as well as broadcasting in public meetings. Since you've been on a previous board, are you familiar with this law that was just signed into law not too long ago?
I've actually been out of the board for a couple months now. So if it was recently signed, I probably have not had the new law applied to any meetings that I've personally been in. But I look forward to reading more into it and making sure that we adhere to it as best we can.
Okay, well, that goes for you too, Justin, if you have a chance to. You might want to look at that. It's Public Law 36-34. It's very important moving forward that you follow this new law. You know, the other one is you've been appointed before. You're also appointed through the governor as an appointee on the working group for the G3 growth. So you have a lot on your plate. And how many kids do you have? 2 or 3?
I have three. They're getting bigger.
They are. You know, you're a Facebook fan, so I've seen your Facebook. Enjoyed that thoroughly. I thoroughly enjoy it. But you know, you're quite busy, and Parks and Recs have always been under, you know, fire many times on issues. The pool situation, the swimming pool issue, of course, the cemetery. We heard from Senator Atta. You know, there's a lot of issues that need to be resolved. And there's going to be a lot of work to address these circumstances and situations. A lot of times the legislature has these roundtables or these public hearings. And so I hope that you can attend, both nominees, take the time to attend these hearings, these roundtable discussions. And if not, of course, we have it's on YouTube, you know, it's all recorded, so you can be a part of that. And my last question, Kyle, is So why Parks and Rec? Of all, I mean, you've sat on before, Parks and Rec.
For me, that answer is simple. As I mentioned earlier, it's my kids. I mean, it was the same reason I got involved with the PTO and with Crime Stoppers and with the library board. You know, we go to these parks all the time, and you know, we have the opportunity to utilize the facilities, and I think there's so much more that you know we can do to help. And you know, we run all the time, and you know, the simple thing of the trash, right? Like I know, like I said, the system and the staffing, but when we go to parks, my kids pick up trash. We pick up trash. If we see trash on the side of the walking trail, we do our best to kind of contribute that way. But this could be
Okay.
another way to help.
Like the green growth thing going on, but it sounds like the green growth, which is all connected. You know,
Oh, well,
when
I've done this before the green growth, actually. So I started really with community groups and with the other board previous to all of that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of connected, you know, keeping things clean, the bathrooms clean and the trash. And I have a real quick question. Victor, if I may, the acting director, Mr. Villagomez, does the commission, this commission and board also oversee SHPO?
Yes, they oversee the whole department.
Okay, thank you, Victor. And Kyle and Justin, my last comment here, I'm sorry, I was going to put the other comment, but SHPO is a huge concern, We tried to give them additional funding, you know, to address what's happening right now. I mean, these are our ancestral lands that are being, you know, uprooted without anyone, you know, paying attention. And there's a great concern in this area. So I ask if you can please, you know, look into the SHPO section of Parks and Rec and what you can do to assist and ensure our history, you know, our indigenous rights with regards to who we are as a people, to keep and maintain that. That's an area we haven't spoken about through this whole public hearing right now. So please look into the SHPO section of this agency, because it definitely needs help. You know, this is our heritage. You know, this is our home that both of you talked about. We're born and raised here. So let's keep that legacy and our history alive and well for the next generation. Thank you, Kyle. And thank you again.
Thank you very much, Senator Titlegy. Senator Pito Terlahi, do you have any questions?
No question, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank Kyle and Justin. You know, with the combination of Justin being, you know, taking care of the youth programs, and Kyle maybe taking care of the projects and program, I think the combination of the two would really work for Parks and Rec. And I just want to extend my undanklo for Justin and Kyle for coming on board, and both of you got my support. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Senator Terlahi. Senator Duenas, do you have any questions?
Jesus Masi, Madam Chair, and Kyle, Mr. Mandapat, thank you for accepting this nomination, and I think that you've, you know, covered a lot of ground with the questions that were asked earlier. I wanted to take maybe a little bit different direction, just because, as Shimmy mentioned, you know, one of the things I remember in having a casual working acquaintance with you being from time to time an individual that would volunteer to do radio. One real unique aspect I saw of you, like Shimmy mentioned, is your ability to bring people together and to also, you know, really focus on the mission of having, you know, transparency within your organization, but also, you know, making sure that the public information and all of that is such a key. I want to ask you, is that something that you feel, you know, invigorated by, that you're going to be at a work, you know, you're going to be a board member of an agency that has a high profile, and in terms of mentoring Justin as well as working with the other board members to really, you know, kind of get the word out about what's going on, and like many of the questions today that were asked, you know, constantly keeping that message out there and updating people in terms of Parks and Rec's profile and also bringing more community involvement. I just wanted to see what you had to say about that.
Most definitely. And thank you so much for that, Senator. I think, like I said, it's really got to come down to community participation and getting all the other people and our other parents and the other kids out there. I think right now we're kind of in a very unique situation given the COVID and some of the limitations. And these are not all, you know, some of the limitations we put on ourselves. I'm not letting my kids leave the house. So as soon as we're able to get back out there and kind of move, I want to make sure that, you know, people have the opportunity to do that in spaces that'll welcome them and that'll encourage them to keep coming back to our parks and to want to make a difference in them, so that when they're there and they see something that needs to be adjusted, whether it be, you know, clearing off a bench or pulling down a branch of a tree that's about to whack somebody in the face on the walking trail, that they take that initiative and they have the ownership so that they can kind of be a part of the solution as well.
I appreciate that, Carl, and I just, you know, I look forward to that as well on the operations side. Like I said, you know, when you and Justin get to sit down for your first meeting, I know that, you know, you're gonna have an agenda and you're gonna have to look at old business, look at new business, and kind of understand, you know, where that all falls into place. But I think as you grow in the coming months, you know, I think what's so important, and we need to always ask boards. And I'm looking at you to set the example here, Kyle, basically by making sure that the administration of the operations of that very critical agency is constantly out there, and public information is so important. And I think that's the mark you can make, and I'm looking forward to you doing that. And I appreciate what you've done in the past, and I'm looking forward to the work you're going to be able to do.
Thank you so much, sir.
I don't have any other questions, Madam Chair. A lot of the technical questions were asked by my earlier colleagues, and Sidus Masi for the opportunity.
Thank you, Senator Dueñas. And Senator Brown, do you have any questions?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Certainly, Kyle Mandapat, his name and reputation certainly precede him. I appreciate that he has accepted the nomination to serve on the Parks and Recreation Board. I mean, you know, Parks and Rec is one of those agencies over the years, just like DPW, that have been substantially decreased in size. I mean, the mandates and the mission have not changed, if not in some areas expanded, and yet the resources and funding given to the agency have significantly declined. I think you see that with regards to the amount of personnel that currently are left at DPR. You know, as earlier Senator Ada was asking about the public cemetery, just the maintenance and management of that is quite an undertaking that the, you know, relatively now small agencies required to address, on top of sports, on top of, you know, the vast number of park facilities that we have in our community. And so from your perspective, I wanted to get some insight, because you had mentioned also the Agania Pool, which I really miss the Agania Pool. You know, we've heard different reports that it's salvageable, it's not salvageable. And we, you know, at some point we'd like to know, we've heard there's discussions a new facility is going to be built in Northern Guam, but even if a new one were to be built in Northern Guam, the Agania Pool, which has been there since the 70s, definitely has accommodated a lot of our community from the central and certainly the southern part of the island. So I would hope that you could look into that and find out at least, and let us know publicly, what is the real story, and is it fixable? You know, is it just the pumps? We always heard about the pumps, and we'd get notified when we're ready to go over that, you know, the pool is closed for whatever reason. And there's so many in the community that miss having that facility. So I wanted to get your thoughts. That's just one example. I'm sure there are other park facilities around the community that you yourself are aware of, but how would you look at addressing those issues from your perspective as a member of the board in looking at these areas that for the community, while it's quiet because people are, you know, COVID and other things are taking our time and attention. Yep. But these facilities have a very important role in our community, and when they're no longer available, like the Agania Pool, I mean, it really does have a lot of impact over a broad range of people from all ages. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Thank you so much, Senator. My thoughts on the pool situation is like you mentioned, you know, we really needed to get back up and running in some form or fashion. We have to look at each other now and tell ourselves in the entire island that we have no public pool right now, because even the one in Dedido is undergoing some renovations, and they're trying to fix things up there as well. We need a pool. I mean, this is one of those things that because we're on an island, we have no other access with the exception of the hotels. But then you'd have to get a room or a membership to something. And I mean, thank God we live, near the ocean and in the ocean, so that we have access to those kinds of aqua exercises and recreation. But for a lot of people, there's, allergies or salt water, really reacts differently to different people and their skin. So I think that in terms of the pool itself, we definitely need to find out what the situation is and get a game plan in place, whether it be, like you mentioned, to further explore the option to rebuild another pool or to fix up and fix the filters and such, and the ones that we already have. The Gatnya pool is a landmark. It's historic. And I can't imagine it not being there for future generations.
Well, I don't doubt with your capabilities, Kyle, you're going to literally dive into that issue and find out what the status of it is. Is it cracks in the structure itself? Are those fixable? We've heard it's sitting on wetlands, it's sinking. We heard it's the pumps, but I'm sure you'll be able to research and determine what the issue is, and is it fixable? Because you're right, it is a landmark, and it's such a shame when you go by and you see the total inactivity. I mean, right now I think the pool is collecting a lot of rainwater and mosquitoes. And not functional. And imagine also all our swim teams and stuff that really rely on. You're right, not everybody has access to a private pool or hotel membership or whatever the case may be. And especially at a time when so many of our people have health issues, from heart disease to diabetes and everything else like that. Anything we can do to encourage our people to get out there in the great outdoors, in these public areas, and be able to enjoy them and appreciate them. I mean, so much the better. I mean, just quality of life. And I don't need to say that to you. I think you very much are well aware of those issues. But I do want to thank you, Kyle. I mean, you have tremendous talent. I've appreciated you over the years. I'm sure your media people appreciate. We miss seeing you in your previous role in the media, but I don't doubt in the work that you're doing now and what comes ahead will be something that we will all continue to appreciate. But I want to let you know I appreciate all that you do. And so I don't doubt you will serve our community well on this board or any board that you're appointed to. A lot of your work comes from the heart, and I know you make that extra effort. And you also make the extra effort for people around you to feel good about who they are and what they do. And that's a special capability. Not everybody has that. Some people get so caught up in themselves and their sense of importance that they don't really recognize the people around them. And I've always appreciated that about you. I think that's such a wonderful quality. Not everybody has it. You, it's almost an innate ability. And so thank you for all that you do. And you certainly have my vote. I just look forward into the years ahead to seeing what other trails you're going to blaze out there, because you've just got some incredibly wonderful qualities that I really think uplift a lot of people around you. And I don't doubt you will contribute that to this Parks and Rec board. But again, beyond this, I look forward to great things in the future for you, Kyle. So thank you so much for your continued public service. And I wish you all the best. And thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to engage and ask questions and comment on Mr. Kyle Mandapat's nomination to the Parks and Recreation Board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Brown. Thank you, Kyle, for being here today, for answering all of our questions and for your testimony. And thank you to the individuals who came out to testify for you as well. And so your confirmation hearing has been duly heard. I'd like to also thank again Mr. Justin Gera, and of course our acting director from DPR, for joining us today for this hearing. With no further questions or testimonies, the Committee on Air Transportation, Parks, Tourism, Higher Education, and the Advancement of Women, Youth, and Senior Citizens hereby concludes this virtual confirmation hearing. Written testimonies may be submitted via email at Office of Senator Shelton at guamlegislature.org or via Dropbox at the Guam Congress Building, 163 Chalan Santo Papa, Hagåtña, Guam, until close of business on Friday, October 1st, 2021. Again, thank you to my colleagues for joining me this morning. Suduas Masi. Have a safe weekend, everyone. Adios.